So we're going to start, if you're ready. Yeah, great. So welcome to the very first day of General Assembly, which has been very kindly sponsored by the Fundación Princesa de Girona. You're all very welcome here in the beautiful venue, the City of Arts and Sciences, but I think if I try in Spanish, I might say the Ciudad de las Artes y de Ciencias. I'll try. Great, so to kick things off, we're going to start with the European anthem. So if you wouldn't mind standing for a few minutes. Thank you. So just before we start, I just want to express a very warm welcome and thank you to all the guests, very special guests and partners and sponsors that are here today. It's great that you can join us for the first day of our General Assembly and for a special opening as well. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome the first speaker, Mr. Enrique Vidal, who is the General Director of the City in Arts and Sciences. So you're very welcome.
Good morning, and welcome to the City of Arts and Sciences. Thank you very much for choosing our complex as a meeting point for the international session of the European Youth Parliament. Well, first of all, I want to thank to Sbarkov, Foundation, Princesa Girona Foundation, Comité d'Honneur, Session Board members, Maria Granero y Aris Labrador, directors of the project, and all the participants for his presence and works. For us, it's very, very satisfying and honor for us to know that this architectural, this is unique and innovative complex who have chosen to hold this meeting. Here, we were European youngsters from several countries, several cultures, in order to debate issues such as the participation of the society in science, technological innovation, protection of personal data in relation to the big international companies, climate change. Likewise, with the context of these subjects, the City of Arts and Science has the aim of encouraging scientific dissemination among all the citizens. Our purpose is to teach them how they can use in the best way the advance of the science, reducing the risk of the wrong use of them. For sure, we will get a satisfactory result that will help us to continue building the Europe of the future. Have a good work, a happy stay in Valencia, welcome again, thank you for your visit, bon dia y benvinguts.
Thank you very much for the very warm welcome to a venue that I know is super special for a lot of people here as well. So our next speaker is going to be from representing the Fundación Princesa de Girona, who are the very kind sponsors of this General Assembly, Ignacio Belda. You're very welcome.
Mr. Enrique Vidal, General Director de la Ciutat de les Ciències, Mr. Andrei Schmid-Vashkov, Chairman of the Board of the Shashkov Foundation, Ms. Julia Fahy, President of Valencia 2019, and the rest of the members of the board and friends, all of you. On behalf of all the trustees of the Fundació Princesa de Girona, and very especially on behalf of our honorary chairman, His Majesty the King of Spain, Philip VI, I would like to wish you a very productive General Assembly. I know you have been working very hard these days. Actually, I was working with you a couple of days ago. And I have to tell you that the work you have been doing these days is very well aligned with the goal of the Fundació Princesa de Girona, which is to work for young people with the key areas that are important for the future. Actually, I would like also to invite you to come to our main annual celebration, which will be held in Barcelona this year, November the 4th and November the 5th. In this celebration, we organize plenty of workshops, we organize trainings, we organize conferences to improve leadership skills for young people. So please, you're very welcome to be with us this year. And in fact, this year is our 10th anniversary, so the celebration will be much more magnificent than previous years. Without much more to add, I would like also to wish you a great weekend in this wonderful city of Valencia, which is told to be the land of the light, the happiness, and the flowers. And, well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you also for your participation in the session in the last few days as well. It's been really great. So to our final speaker, you may have met him maybe previously, and he's been here for the last few days joining us in the celebrations and debates and everything of Valencia 2019. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Andrei Schmid-Schwarzkopf, the chairman of the board of the Schwarzkopf Foundation.
Yeah, dear Mr. Paris, thanks a lot for this wonderful venue. I come from Berlin. The city was very much destroyed during the Second World War, and during the last 30 years we tried to rebuild the most part of our city. But I must say, an architecture such as this we never have in Germany, in Berlin. It's beautiful, it's aesthetic, it's great. Congratulations to you and your city. Mr. Bellard-Weiss, thanks a lot for supporting these wonderful young people you just addressed and with whom you work together. I further on have a little story about your king, so thank you for supporting this wonderful board and all the delegates. Madame la Présidente, chère Julia, dear organizers, wonderful Maria and Aris, dear President of EYP Spain, charming Rafael, wherever you are, dear delegates, participants of Valencia's international session, dear friends of EYP in Europe. It's my great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Schwarzkopf Foundation at the General Assembly of the 19th International Session of European Youth Parliament here in sunny Valencia. As you might know, since 2004, the Schwarzkopf Foundation is the international umbrella organization of EYP, and we host the international office of EYP in Berlin, Germany. We are delighted to support such a wonderful project, reaching over 35,000 young people in 40 countries all over Europe every year. Since I know EYP, and that is since 1989, so most of you were not even born, I hear that EYP changes the life of all those who step into our events. And with every session and every new generation that join us, we hopefully bring our wonderful old continent, Europe, a little bit closer together. This is also why visiting international session is always a pleasure for me, as it is so exciting to see you, our new generation of EYPers, all nationalities working together, debating the future and making new friends from across those great continents. The only problem for me is I become older and older over that, and you always stay the same age. This is not fair, I must say. I'm particularly very happy to be here in Valencia with you. As you probably discovered, it's a wonderful city, the city of art and science, a city full of European history. For this, we are very grateful to EYP Spain and the dedication and commitment of the team of organizers led by Maria and Aris, who have worked on this project for more than 2 years. I know it's a lot of work to prepare an international session with so many young people from all over the world. When I was new in EYP, Spain was already a very strong country in our EYP family. And then for many years it disappeared from our landscape. So it's great to see our Spanish friends since some years so wonderful back on the landscape of EYP. Now EYP Spain has more than 300 members, and in this year they were holding 13 big events throughout the year. I think we give all our Spanish friends a great hand of applause. Thanks, Rafael. Thanks, all our Spanish friends. Muchas gracias. And dear participants, dear Belda Rey, I have a very special memory to EYP Spain, and it has to do with your now king. For many years ago, we were received in Madrid from the former Crown Prince, Felipe. He is now the king in his chateau in Madrid. We all have been very impressed to be received by a Crown Prince. But I will never forget, I was standing in front of him, and I looked at his shoes. And I couldn't believe it. He was wearing light brown shoes at 8 o'clock in the evening to a dark blue suit. You will not understand my joke, but it's impossible in Germany to wear light brown shoes after 6. That's a totally no-go in public, you know? So I was standing there in front of His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of the Kingdom of Spain, and I couldn't believe it. There are so many things different in Europe we can discover. So much wonderful things in our old, diverse continent, Europe. Languages, music, habits like you see with shoes, history, the beauty of different European art since 2,000 years, like we can see it in Valencia in Spain. We can learn so much from each other. Did you know that there was a highly civilized kingdom named Kingdom of Valencia from 1238 to 707, nearly 500 years long? I didn't know, I must confess. Did you know that's a wonderful, great, and if you have not seen it, you should go. The Cathedral of Valencia is founded on an Islamic mosque that for also nearly 500 years before the Kingdom of Valencia was founded, Valencia was for nearly 500 years a part of the Islamic world, where Muslim, Jews, and Christians lived mostly peacefully together. I didn't know that. Our Europe of today, united in diversity, describes it perfectly. Let's enjoy our great old wonderful home Europe. Let's share his values and let's fight for them together today and tomorrow. You all can do that if you can continue even after Valencia and working with your EYP teams at home. It is only through the tireless work of over 3,500 volunteers across our network that EYP continues to exist since 1988. It is volunteers like Julia, our wonderful president today, who started in EYP just like you, who contributed throughout the years to shaping events, people, and the organization. We are profoundly grateful and thankful to the entire team of volunteers, organizers, chairs, media teams, and members who have made not only Valencia International Session happen. Imagine it's our 90th international session held by EYP since it was founded 1988 in Fontainebleau, France. I would also like to thank those who have financially and with their advice contributed to this session. All great Spanish and international and German partners. And because on a long-term German friend to EYP came extraordinary yesterday from Germany, I would like to mention my friend Stefan Muschig, who is sitting here in front of us from the foundation in Germany, Energy. He's a good friend of us of EYP, and he just had a special birthday. Please give him a hand of applause, but Stefan, you have to raise up. And do you know whom I mean if I say, if you save for your pension, you will save the world? We have a new friend, Natalie, from the Fidelity company. Natalie also is here for a week, and some people of you know her already through the committee work. Thanks a lot for coming, and we hope we have a new friend at our side. Give her a hand of applause. Look, 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 Natalie. You see? It's for you. I hope that this session has shown you that European cooperation is not always easy, but it's possible. EYP is a unique project allowing you to learn important soft skills that will be of use throughout your entire life, such as analyzing problems and coming up with creative solutions in a multicultural team. The merits of European working jointly together in the European Union, for example, are obvious. Never before has Europe seen such a long period of peace, stability, and prosperity. But every generation has to create their Europe, and it's through events like this that EYP aims to empower you to start thinking about how you want your Europe in the future, and then become engaged and determined to play a part in achieving it. And there is so much still to do in Europe. Here in Valencia at the Mediterranean Sea, we must remember and have in mind the daily tragedy of the refugees trying to come to Europe. So many are dying. It's a human scandal that should not let us sleep. We can learn from our common history, keeping in mind that the great and ever-relevant vision of a united, peaceful, and solidary Europe to protect us from the horrific experience of our common European past, so that we can advance towards new horizons without having fear of war and oppression in Europe. And a Europe that is open for the people who needs our help. A Europe that is open for the problems of our world and tries to help where it can. For this, education, culture, information, and passion are essential to resist tendencies from far-right and oppressive governments who like to rewriting our history in a special direction. Only on solid and clear foundations can we build a strong future, and it's up to you to decide what direction Europe should sail towards, and I hope this event has contributed to convincing you that you and your generation have the power to shape Europe. And there are a lot of things to defend in our wonderful continent, Europe: democracy, the rule of law, and our common values of humanity, the European way of life. Getting involved with the EYP is one of the ways of showing this engagement to reflect, discuss, think, develop yourself, and gain awareness, and help others gain the same awareness. The EYP will not change the world or Europe alone, but it will change you, and you will then be the one who will be shaping the future of our continent. Dear young Europeans, let's learn from this very difficult history of our continent. Let's defend what we achieved in Europe, and with this knowledge, let's solve the problems of today and tomorrow. And because I'm in Spain, I say, vive le roi et vive l'Europe.
Thank you, Andre. It's been a pleasure to have you here and to share this week with you as well. Thank you. So that brings to a close the opening of our General Assembly. So I'm just going to briefly go through the GA procedure before we start with the very first debate from ITRE 1. So you can already start getting ready. I'm sure you're good to go. So rather than going through step by step, I just want to draw your attention to the changes that we've made in the GA procedure. So I'm sure you've seen, it's all in the resolution booklet, so you can read through there. And basically, we were trying to make the General Assembly more constructive, positive, well, and negative if that's the case. But the idea being that we build upon each other's ideas and that this is not just the document of an individual committee, but rather the document of a General Assembly. So you'll see that we now have a proposition speech and position speeches. And that's just a renaming of what we originally have had in EYP, and I hope that it will allow you to kind of switch the way that you also think about your points and the way you approach the debate. And we also have an addition of amendments now, so throughout the debate, if you feel that there's something in the resolution that you think would really improve it and that you'd like to see changing in the resolution, feel free to bring that up as a point. And we encourage all constructive points as well, even if it's maybe not something that can be exactly tweaked in the resolution. But we'll see how it goes. And I think it's been already explained to you that throughout the debate you can already start thinking about if you want to make amendments to your resolution, and then we'll announce them at the end if that's the case. So yes, I hope that this will lead to fruitful and constructive discussions, and I hope you have a great day. So we're going to start with the Committee on Industry, Technology and Research 1. Thank you, one, if you'd like to turn the page. So, virtual pipelines. To meet the rising demand for energy while still reaching emission reduction targets, technological innovation in the energy sector will be needed. How should the EU encourage digitalization of the energy sector while preserving the cyber resilience of vital infrastructure? So, if there's a member of the committee that would like to deliver a proposition speech, ITRE, you're recognized. You have 2 minutes, and I'll tap the microphone at 30 seconds left. Yes, you can come to the podium.
Honourable members of the board, fellow participants, distinguished guests. We of the ITRE 1 committee were tasked with paving the way to a more digital and safer energy grid. But why do we need a digital grid? Well, with the transition from conventional energies, such as coal and oil, towards more renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, water, biofuel, it also raised a lot of challenges for our energy grid. Many things have changed in how the way energy flows and how we need to handle it in order to utilize renewable energies to their fullest potential. As a committee, I will present you now the three biggest problems we found, but of course there are more. First one would be funding, second is physical implementation, and last, of course, security. Let me begin with security. Going away from the conventional grid structure, where the entire information and network was within the energy grid itself, there was no connection to the open internet, so to say. But with the introduction of a smart and digitalized grid, connecting it to facilities such as smart homes and adaptations of those, there will be a connection to the more open world, allowing for new areas for cyber attacks, which we need to be aware of. Next one is the physical implementation. We need to have new devices enabling us to actually utilize a smart grid and establish a smart grid, collecting more data, using the data. But of course, there need to be standards that all the devices from different companies can talk to each other. Last but not least, the funding. All of this needs to be paid for. We need new devices, we need new structures, we need new software. All of this has to be paid in some way. And of course, we thought about some solutions for this. Let me start with the funding. For funding, we focused on utilizing already existing funds, using money and increasing them if necessary, but also finding some new ways to gain money. For example, by establishing a European tax on energy consumption, which will then be combined with gains from the funds to pay for the digitalizing of the energy grid. As for the actual implementation, research is key. We need new technologies. We want to further invest into new technologies such as the power-to-gas applications, but also further develop the required information technology between grid operators to make our grid actually smart. As for the aspect of security, we are tackling it from numerous standpoints. To keep it short, we want to minimize the human error by increasing and more focusing on trainings for the actual grid operators, making their transition from operating a conventional grid to a smart and digitalized grid as easy and secure as possible. Additionally, we want to put further efforts into security certification, for example, the Information Security Management Systems, also called ISM certificate, for the energy sector. Yeah, this concludes my proposition speech. I hope I could bring you this very complex and technical topic a bit closer, and I hope for a very fruitful debate. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you for opening up our GA with that wonderful example of a proposition speech. I'd now like to open the floor to any position speeches from other committees. Great, so we're going to take two position speeches. First we'll go with Econ 1, and then we're going to go over to NV2. So you have 2 minutes each, and if the second delegate would already like to prepare by coming up to the stage as well, that would be great. Thank you. So first, Econ 1, you're recognized.
Hello, I hope it's working. Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, honorable board, all the delegates present here. Today, I'm going to present a negative position speech on ITRE 1. Being personally interested in cybersecurity, I got leaned into the full topic of ITRE 1. The more unfortunate it was for me to see that in the encouragement of the energy sector, digitalization, a major and crucial side is missing in the provider's resolution. This is a public response. I wasn't able to see a single directive focused on preparing a common people, ordinary citizens, towards the changes proposed by this resolution. And I'm sincerely afraid of public response not being positive. For while the committee is alarmed by the threat of the consumer's right to privacy, at the same time, resolution repeatedly proposes widely ranged and rapidly executed introduction of the smart meters in the current form. For it to be clear, these devices indeed provide detailed monitoring of energy consumptions that would help people manage their consumption levels. However, to do so, smart meters monitors hours by hour literally every electrical activity happening in every room of every flat of every house they monitor. I personally wouldn't have any questions towards these measures if appropriate security measures would be implemented. And however, while there's several questionably useful suggestions to improve the security of databases where this information is going to be stored, I haven't seen like most of data leakage will going to happen through the connections between these data systems and the houses. And I'm sorry, but replacing to-fibre cables, which is actually and oftenly used practice right now doesn't have to do anything with the security, for it just basically increases speed and sustainability of the cables itself. So that's much of my point. Thanks, y'all.
Honorable Board, dear delegates. First of all, our committee would like to congratulate the ITRE-1 committee for its resolution on such important, yet really challenging topic. You did a great job by proposing the smart grids. You used it as your main solution to the problem, but you didn't count really important points which are crucial for making the idea a reality. You have the perfect plan of implementing it, but it's not that perfect after all. You missed having the plan for ordinary people who are the ones you are doing all of this after all. Having in mind the Ukrainian cyber attack back in 2015, people may not really trust the government, their bosses, or EU even. If they will just tell them to use those. You need to make sure that your product is secure and show people that as well. You also requested private sector companies to go to power to gas without realizing that they as well should feel secure about these methods of having their energy sources. One of the ways can be simply showing why the product is good, but how, not why the product is good, but how bad are the alternatives and to what can lead using too much of our natural resources. Besides that, in one of your points, you mentioned proposing the member states to introduce individual financial support regarding smart measures, but you didn't count that some of the members are lower middle income countries, and often they are the ones that need those smart grids and maybe can find themselves, so I believe that European Commission should be in charge of this. Thanks for your resolution once more, and we truly think that an analytical report assessing the whole situation should be the top priority before anything else occurs.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to return to the proposing committee, and if there's a delegate who would like to respond to the proposition speeches. So, ITRE-1, you're recognized. And you can just speak from the floor, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Regarding the first speech, it was basically concerning about security issues. What we did is making sure that the human factor is lowered at the most. So you were concerned about everybody's data, and we understand that. But what we did is basically we made sure that there were enough security measures, and we want to make sure that the companies respect the policies of privacy. Also, I'm sure that we've made enough points about making sure that security is well covered. For example, the white hat hackers, OC. Also, we've made sure that the fiber optics that you mentioned, they were not for transition grid. No, sorry, they were not for distribution grid. They were for the transition grid, since fiber optics are measured that it uses slides basically to make sure that everything goes faster, but also make sure that it is way more secure. Now, regarding for the second speech, it was basically concerning about how we were going to make these smart grids accessible for everybody. We made enough funding, research. We made sure that the right funds were allocated in the right we made sure that the right funds were allocated in the right areas, and also we made sure to implement a tax to make sure that there are enough funds. Also, as we were concerned that some countries are not as developed as others, and that's why we also made sure that those countries have more time and more funds in order to build enough infrastructure, and that way it is accessible for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Guillermo. So we'll now, just before opening the first round of debate, just in case you missed it, ITRE very kindly prepared a fact sheet for you also. So it's just, you'll find it just before the resolution. So if at any point there's any technical words that you may not know the exact meaning to, or you want some clarification, please feel free to consult the fact sheet. Great. So we're now going to open the first round of debate, and I'd like to invite you to raise your placards if you have a point. Great. Okay. Great, so we're going to first go to the very back of the room and take a point from IMCO, followed by AFET. So IMCO, you're recognized.
Hi, thank you for recognizing me. I agree with some of the points that were being made with the proposition speeches. Although I think the smart grid is a great tool to create a consciousness with the people about their energy usage, we should bear in mind that the companies there that are getting the data from our smart grid are private companies who will only use it to make profit. The only way to create a sustainable future for the smart grid and make it beneficial is to make it mandatory that's not allowed to share any data from the smart grid to the electricity companies. Regulating is not the way to go. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for the very first point of GA. So we're now going to take a point from the Committee on Foreign Affairs. AFET, you're recognized.
Thank you for recognizing me. According to the European Commission website, 28.7 billion of the 30.4 billion budget of CEF have already been allocated or used, meaning that there's only 1.5 billion left. Where should the CEF find the remaining 7.2 billion? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll now take a point from Econ 3, followed by DOA 2.
Thank you for recognizing me. So I'll get a point that refers to the OC 10. So ITRE 1, you propose the member state to financially support individuals with the implementation of smart meters. However, the OC 7 says that the companies are responsible for providing smart meters. The question is, who is financially responsible for the implementation of the smart meters if companies of C10 does not make sense? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And DOA 2.
My question is quite simple. You are requesting that the European Commission accept the Connecting Europe facility and also instructing companies to provide smart meters, but how are you going to convince those companies and this institution?
Thank you. And Econ 2.
Thank you for the recognition, Honourable Board. My question is going to be about the Clause 3 of the OCs, which actually proposes the establishment of a supervisory body in order to monitor the usage of funds provided by the CEF in the member states. It is obvious that there is a need for supervision. However, the mandate of the advice body and under what kind of supervision it is going to operate, it is not clearly stated in the resolution paper. And I believe this creates the possible politicization of the CEF. I will be really grateful if the committee members could explain in detail the mandate of the advisory body that they propose to create. Thank you.
Great. So we're actually going to go back to the proposing committee now, if you're ready to respond to those points. We can take another point before, if you'd like. I didn't warn you. So we're going to go, we'll take one last point from Live, and then we'll return to the proposing committee, so you can get ready. Live, you're recognized.
Thank you for recognizing me. I just have an issue with OC 15 regarding asking for distribution system operators to install fibre optic cables. There is no incentive in your resolution to actually carry this measure out, so there are two potential results of this. Either they did not do it, which just does not happen at all, or the cost is then pushed down the line to people using these broadband services. This is just another example of measures put in place to help people that will end up just costing them more. I'm just wondering why there is no incentive to install these measures. Thank you for recognizing.
Great, thank you very much for that point. So we're now going to return to the proposing committee to respond to this round of debate. Itre, when you're recognized.
Thank you for your questions. So in reply to, I think it was IMCO first, we have actually already established that consumers can approve of taking data and it wouldn't be shared on other platforms if obviously that wasn't wanted. We've had quite a few questions about the CEF. It's actually been extended the deadline until 2027, and with this extension obviously they have more funds as well. So therefore this new budget will give us the opportunity to obviously fund more. The fibre optic cases, they're part of the digitalisation and of the support from CEF and FIB, I think. So we also see that this ties in quite well, so we wouldn't really have a problem here. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for clarifying those points and questions. We're now going to open the second round of debate with a point from Dwa 1. You're recognized.
I would like to ask the honourable members of the board for recognizing me. Now, could you please clarify the exact quality of the easily accessible interface in OC7? If that interface is supposed to be physical and built into all smart meters, as the OC seems to suggest, its easy accessibility might require major restructuring of all buildings in which this would be implemented. If this is not already your idea, I would recommend using a smartphone or a computer application. Thank you in advance for your clarification.
Great, thank you very much for that point. We're now going to take a point from Itre 2. You recognize. Over here, sorry.
Thank you for recognizing me. I have a question regarding OC number 4. By what means exactly do you plan on accelerating the research? Could you please specify? Thank you.
Great, thank you for the question. So we'll now go to your sister committee, Itre 3, followed by NV2.
In OC3, or OC12, you asked the IEB to finance upgrade of their smart meters, but what sort of incentive would they have, and what return would they receive from this?
Great, thank you very much. NV2, you're recognized.
Thank you for the floor. I would like to ask a question regarding OC 5 and 6. So the tax in the Netherlands, the revenue from that tax is being recycled back to taxpayers in the form of reductions in direct taxes. And this directly aids low-income earners to manage the energy consumption tax. However, in your OC 6, it states that the revenue should instead go to fund digitalization and the expansion of smart grids. Have you taken into account how this tax will affect low-income earners? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're now going to take a point from Econ 3, followed by your sister committee, Econ 2.
Thank you for the recognition. I have a question regarding OC15 about optic fibers. There's 4 ways to actually tap into optic fibers. They are not as secure as the resolution suggests they are. I may read them out. They are fiber bending, evanescent coupling, B-groove cut, and scattering. Do you really want to use that as a cybersecurity measure? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for the point on cybersecurity. So we're now going to move to Econ 2.
Just in regards to OC number 5, when you say an indirect tax who exactly are you going to tax on? Like, is it really fair to tax people across the member states when the majority of energy consumption is done by large businesses? So shouldn't we be trying to focus on them more, considering that small consumers aren't going to make a massive difference overall? Perhaps as on the constructive side. Maybe reassess this, please. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So we're now going to close the trio of econs with the point from Econ 1. You're recognized.
OC number 19 talks about a common framework, but a common framework on such a large scale can be subject to safety breaches, while your topic advocates for cybersecurity.
Great, thank you very much. So we'll close this round with a point from AFET, and then we'll return to the proposing committee, ITRE 1, to respond. So AFET, you're recognized.
Hi, Jakob from Slovenian delegation. So in your OC3, you are recommending creation of a new external body to monitor funds provided from CEF in member states. Even though the data is public and widely accessible to us all, and besides that, we have European Commissioner for Energy to do exactly that job, to monitor funds allocated to member states. I don't see a reason for external new body of European Union. Thank you.
Thank you very much. ITRE 1, are you ready to respond to this round of debate? Great, you're recognized.
Hello, thank you. First of all, for the point from Draw 1 regarding OC number 7, the smart meters that will be brought into the consumers' homes will have easily accessible interfaces. That means they will look like a smartphone. So basically, the consumer can understand how to work with it and be intuitive about it. So the system won't be complicated to access by the consumer. Okay, next up we have from ITRE 2, OC number 4. We basically just want to convince research stations and private companies to put more work into researching the power-to-gas technology, because it's a way better way of managing energy and receiving and giving it. Yeah. Next we have at OC number 12 from ITRE 3. So the EIB is already funding institutions, and they would have incentive because they contribute to common EU goals, basically. Then we have MV2, okay. I can't find the order, okay. OC number 15 from Econ 3. Fiber optic cables are actually very secure, and it's one of the best ways to transport information because they cannot be breached that easily. Next up, for OC number 5, the tax will be for the producers, mainly for everybody, but especially for the producers because they are the ones who use the most power. And for responding to Econ 1, the information that will be transmitted over there, it will be actually secure. Like we will ensure it will be secure through our measures stated in the cybersecurity subsection of our resolution. Yes, we implemented a site for that because it's a better way of communicating and of transmitting information, but it will actually be very secure, as we tried to do earlier. Thank you very much. That's it.
Great. Thank you very much for your clarifications. That was perfect. So we're opening now the third round of debate, and I'd just like to invite perspectives from the EMPL committee, NV1 and INTA, just who haven't made a point yet. If you have anything that you'd like to say, now is your chance. So we're going to first go with IMCO. You're recognized.
A slight critique. Your resolution seems to hinge on the idea that present smart grids are truly efficient. While they do aid in improving efficient distribution of energy to areas with With need, the current technology is inefficient and results in energy waste when the power is traveling through the actual network. Hence, I would urge you to devote further attention and resources to improving present technology to the standard necessary to ensure your resolution has the impact it needs. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Imco. So we're now going to take a point from the Committee on Human Rights 1, followed by the Committee on Human Rights 2. So Dua 1, you're recognized.
Thank you, honorable members of the board, for recognizing me. My point is actually for a clarification issue in the OC number 11, which is where you say to gradually relocate investments away from conventional power grids to smart grids. Wouldn't that, just for clarification again, wouldn't that be a little problematic in the sense that if you gradually relocate the investments as soon as this gets accepted, wouldn't that cause problem with some companies? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll now take a point from Dua 2. You recognize.
Hi, thank you for recognizing me. I was wondering about the tax that the Honourable Committee is proposing. How high will said tax be? Okay.
Thank you. Is that the end?
Thank you.
You good?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Great. So we're going to now take a point from INTA, and I would just like to remind you also that if there's anything that you think in the resolution concretely that could be amended to make it more in line with what you would agree with, or yes, just to build constructively also on the proposing committee's resolution, feel free to absolutely recommend amendments as well. So we're now going to take a point from INTA. You're recognized.
Thank you for recognizing me, Madam President. I have a question about OC5 from the proposing committee. The energy tax in the Netherlands is often refunded to the large energy-consuming companies on basis of allegedly green energy that isn't actually green at all. I'd propose to fix this system before you implement such a tax in other countries. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Inta. So we'll now take a point from ITRE 3. Oh, we have, okay, we have a point of personal privilege from AFET. No, is it the, I think we have a direct, sorry, the wrong card. So we have a direct response from AFET. So before going to ITRE 3, we'll take that. So AFET, you're recognized.
Merci pour la parole. With enormous respect for your resolution, and adding to what has been just said, this is not a normal, regarding OC number 5, this is not a normal procedure in the European Parliament and will face great confrontation from member states to accept such a tax. I suggest you redact that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the first direct response of the day. So we're now going to ITRE 3. You're recognized.
Thank you for the floor. In the OC number 5, you mentioned that the system of taxes, such as Netherlands, should be implemented, but could you please specify how exactly this system will work and how can it directly influence on the solution of the existing problem? Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So we'll now take, so we're going to take two last points of this round. So they're going to be first from NV2, followed by Libe. And ITRE 1, I'm sure you have a lot of already clarifications to be thinking of for your response. Thank you.
I would like to draw your attention on Operative Clause 6. And I would like to say that the European Commission cannot do that to supplement taxes. And the only thing that you can do is ask for the funds to be allocated to Horizon 2020. But even then, the Horizon 2020 is soon to be expired. So what's the solution to it? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, NV2. We're now going to take the last point of this round from Libe at the back.
Thank you for recognizing me. I fully agree with the proposition that the research is key, both technology and security. In regards to OC4, isn't there a lack of incentives for research institutions and companies to accelerate the research? considering that the installment of smart meters will be costly according to ICN and may require large parts, if not all, of the funding from OC2?
Great, thank you for your point. So we have a direct response from ITRE, but we're going to come back to you anyway. Would you like to use your direct response, or? Yeah, okay, so ITRE1 are going to directly respond to the point from Libe, and then we'll also return for your summation of the round.
Thank you. Regarding the incentives for the private and industrial sector to further invest in research into new technologies, for example, power through gas, as we state in our resolution, our idea here is based on an economic law, the law of hotelling, which states that the sooner you invest into a new technology, which is there to take over an old technology, for example, renewable energies taking over conventional energies, the sooner you invest into them, the sooner they will be more cost efficient than conventional energies. And as we state in our first IC, our resolution aims to go with the energy transition in accordance with the climate goals. We believe that the more we urge and the more effort we put into research, the sooner we will reach these goals, and this is why we've decided to do so. Thank you.
Great, thank you for the direct response. So now if one of your fellow, yes, so ITRE1, you're recognized to respond to this round of debates.
Thank you for raising those questions. Starting from Ample's question regarding the energy waste and the further attention that should be put on the resources, we believe that the certifications that we have proposed for the companies to be provided, along with bodies that will monitor the investments, will result in a greater cooperation, which will have as a consequence the minimum energy waste, which is where we're also targeting. Moving on to OC11, the reallocation of investment, it was mentioned that the cost will be higher for companies and they won't have the time to adapt. However, we do think that this change will be beneficial not only for them in terms of corporate social responsibility, but also will assist them in providing consumers with smart meters that are beneficial at the end, which was also mentioned in our direct response. Moving on to the taxes, we literally recognize that there cannot be uniform taxation apart from inside the Eurozone. So we think that taxes are for member states to impose. So what will happen is they will follow the example of the Netherlands, but obviously according to their own needs and their specifications, according to the targets they want to achieve. Regarding INTA, about the allegedly green energy, what we're trying to do is a continuous improvement of a system. So we try to opt for these, and the digitalization will definitely have some flaws, but we recognize that through our resolution they are being targeted already. And finally, the last point that was brought up about EU, I mean, it's obvious that we only recognize that they can call upon. They're not imposing anything, and we didn't mention anything about that. We're just calling upon them, which will only the Horizon 2020 will be able to earn those funds. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. We're going to go to the, perfect. So we're going to go to the last round of debate of this first motion and resolution. So this is going to be a shorter round than before, and I'd just like to remind ITRE that you can already start thinking about the amendments maybe that you'd like to make, and you'll have a minute just to confer amongst each other before we announce them at the end of the debate if you decide to do so. So we're going to open the final round with a point from INTA. You're recognized.
Hello, I'm Ronia from the Slovenian delegation. Regarding the OC number 7, don't you think that rather than instructing companies to provide smart meters for all consumers, it would be more effective to urge an existing EU body or maybe member states? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Inta. We're now going to take a point from Econ 2, followed by Econ 3.
Thank you for recognizing me. I have a question about OC4. Where do the educational institutions and private companies get money for extra research? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Econ 3, you're recognized.
Thank you for recognizing me. I have a point regarding OC7. What will be the incentives for the companies to provide all customers with the smart meters, and will there be any negative sanctions if they do not provide these? And may I also suggest an EU-wide standard on then providing customers with smart meters? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Econ 3. Okay, so with that, so Econ 3 was the last point of this debate. Sorry for cutting that short. Yes, so if you also, while the ITRE committee is thinking about their amendments and getting ready to respond to this round, I'd just like to draw your attention to the GA stats behind me. So as you can see, we have so in each section, you can see where the points have been made. So this debate has focused a lot on the energy management of the ITRE resolution. So I hope that now we'll see some clarification on that also. So ITRE 1, are you ready to respond? They've already gone. Yeah. So ITRE 1, you're recognized. So you actually, so you. Don't worry, we'll hear from you very soon. So this is just responding to the last 3 points of debate. I know this is a bit different than the usual procedure, but we just thought that this would be good so then we can announce the amendments and then have the summation speech all together rather than responding to the round of debate. So if there's a delegate that would, a member of the proposing committee that would like to just respond to those few points, that would be great. So you're recognized, ITRE.
So I'll start with the question about OC7. The basic goal of OC7 is that all consumers will just get a smart meter when the grid is set up. And in order to do that most effectively, it's easiest to make sure that the providers, when they have a smart grid set up, that they just give the smart meter to them. It's a part of the package, basically. That's our thought process behind it, and that's our goal. Regarding the funding, we have already stated the tax that we are proposing is there in order to help provide funding towards all the different programs and all the different things, all the different points we are proposing. As that's better than reallocating money and resources from other places, as there are a lot of important things that are happening all over the world. I'm sorry if I've forgotten anything, but I believe that is all. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So now if the proposing committee would just like to take maximum a minute just among yourselves to see if there's any amendments you'd like to make, and if I would invite the chair of the ITRE 1 committee just to share them with us afterwards when you're ready, if so. And in the meantime, if you want to already start thinking about the points, if the other committees would already like to start thinking about the points that have been made during this debate and how maybe you would like to vote. And yes. Great, so we have, perfect. So we have an amendment from the first amendment of the General Assembly, and that's going to be, so it's going to be an additional, so an additional operative clause. So if you already want to write this into your resolutions, and then you can, so we'll be voting on the resolution as amended now today. So an additional operative clause under the subheading of cybersecurity. So the proposing committee would like to propose the amendment, so it will be so operative clause 18, It'll now be urges member states to ensure consumer rights by limiting data usage to analytics and grip improvement. So I'll just repeat that. Urges member states to sorry, it disappeared. Urges member states to ensure consumer rights by limiting data usage to analytics and grip improvement. So we have our first amended resolution, and you'll now be voting on this. So before we do the voting, I'd like to invite a member of the proposing committee to deliver a summation speech. So if you would like to come up to the podium, you have 3 minutes, and I'll tap the microphone at 30 seconds left. So Itre 1, you're recognized.
Fellow delegates, honorable members of the board, and dear guests, I first of all want to thank you all for asking critical questions and taking a deeper look into our resolution, as it helps us improve it and it gives us a better chance to explain what we are proposing. All over Europe, countries and states are improving their power grid and implementing smart grids. These are more effective. They limit energy loss and energy consumption. They can boost the country's economy. And they are the next step towards the future of energy. However, there are some downsides to smart grids. Through our resolution, we aim to support member states in rebuilding their infrastructure in order to be able to implement smart grids. We seek to prevent cyber attacks. We aim to improve communication between the grids and the grid operators in order to knowledge share, data share, and make sure that, that the grids can help each other if there ever is a problem. We seek to empower the consumers by giving them the tools and the knowledge in order to make their own choices, in order to be able to control their own energy consumption, to help both save the environment and save money on their own energy usage. In our resolution, we aim to move Europe towards a brighter, safer, and more environmental future, a more environmental tomorrow, and we hope that you will join us in doing that, and that you will vote for our resolution. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Itre 1, and thank you everyone for the very first and surprisingly lively debate for this time of the morning. So thank you. So just if you want to take, I hope you've already kind of been thinking about it as we've been going, but in light of the summation speech, if you want to just take a minute to think about how you'd like to vote on this resolution, so whether you're in favor, against, or abstaining. Yes, and if the chairs would like to gather the votes, and then we'll do it on up here so you can see everything. So if chairs could raise your placards whenever you've collected the votes, and then we'll ask you to submit them all at once. So if you have submitted them already, that's fine, don't worry. But yeah, we'll do it all at once on the GA stats. Perfect. Is everyone ready, or is there a... Great. So... Okay, great. So I think we have everyone. So what we're going to do, if chairs would now like to submit the votes, hopefully all at once, but we'll see.
Can we let the placards up and we tell the names when they put it down if we have it?
So if chairs can leave the placards up, and then we'll say whenever it's been logged on the so INTA, you can put your placard down. ITRE 1, EMPL. So those are the only 3 that we have so far. No. Okay, so we're all good. And I would like to announce congratulations. So ITRE 1, you've passed with 183 votes from the Assembly in favour, with only 29 against and 4 absent. So congratulations, you've done an amazing job of the first resolution. So you now have a coffee break for all that hard work. So just before you leave, so the committee after coffee break is going to be Econ 1. So already feel free to check their fact sheet. Just have a little look at the resolution, and we're going to aim to be back here for 11 o'clock. So try your best. That would be great. Thank you.